Good evening. Welcome to our eighth season of Moving Forward. I'm your host, Sheila Frazier, and our guest tonight is Michael Miguest. And you're running for Vice President of Chicago Teachers Union. So we have a lot to talk about. And we didn't play an April Fool on you. Our Turner may have played one on us. He said he's going to give us a call. But after the election this weekend, he wanted some family time. So and this was spring break here in Chicago. So he took the kids out of town and they went down south. So he'll be calling in and he'll be coming on later in the season. But meanwhile, we have you. So you're not really an April Fool, are you?
No, I'm not.
Okay, you're serious about, I hear, it's a lot of people ready for Chicago Teachers Union. There's like 6 different caucuses, and you and I have worked together at Lindblom.
Absolutely.
And you're a union delegate now. I was a union delegate at Lindblom. And we both seem like we're going with the same team.
That's correct. The School Employee Alliance, I think that they have a new direction to lead the union in. And I think they've got the team that can get that, make that happen.
Because I think a lot of teachers are disgruntled, and then we got stuff coming from, from the governor cutting funding. We got stuff coming from, CPS, cutting money, talking about raising class sizes to 37. Then we had the same experience when Lindblom was closed, and we're both math teachers, and we know that they need math teachers, and we're both certified in math and science, and couldn't find any position there. So it's nothing. What's happening with veteran teachers? We need to let people know that things are happening there. Not good things.
Well, Sheila, let me say that I'm an example of what they are doing to veteran teachers across the system. When we worked at Lindblom together, and they closed out Lindblom College Prep, I wound up going to the displaced or reassigned teacher program myself. I was extremely disenchanted with that program. It didn't help me find a job in the 10 months, and ultimately I was terminated. I lost my job with 1 year short of getting a full pension. And at a tune of about 30%, I could have lost 30% of my pension, which would have dropped me down to 45% if I didn't find another job, which I ultimately did, working at South Shore School of Tech right now. So
I ended up having to go and teach science at an elementary school.
Okay.
Because for some reason, everybody's talking about the state of education, but they're not hiring experienced teachers. They're hiring, usually in most trades, the elder statesmen help to bring about the younger ones and help train them and guide them. But now we talked about the situation on the show, like at a school like Finger, where they released all the veteran teachers, and then they you had the just neophytes in there, and then when that fight came down with Darian Albert, and there were no seasoned teachers there to deal with the whole situation, and maybe it could have been aborted, it could have been changed. But now the union is saying that there was a lawsuit that was just won about displaced teachers. So could you tell us something about that?
Well, that lawsuit in and of itself is not as great as the current leadership is, purporting it to be. In essence, I think the bottom line is that any of those teachers who do get relief, they still will not get their jobs back. And I think that's a point that has not been mentioned in the media.
They only get about a maximum of 60 days pay if they fall into certain categories. If they were certified, right, in that particular subject, and they weren't placed in the subject, and there's so many other things that happen.
Well, that 60-day issue was because they were aging vacancies. Okay. And the aging of the vacancies is what allowed, I guess, the current leadership to win this arbitration. However, like I said, the bottom line is that none of those veteran teachers are going to get their jobs back, and for the small pittance that they're going to get, which probably equates to maybe $10 $11,000 after taxes.
And it doesn't even go toward their pension.
Doesn't even go towards their pension. Absolutely.
Okay, I want to remind you, you're watching Moving Forward. I'm your host, Sheila Frazier. We have Michael Miguest here as our guest today. He's running for vice president of the School Employee Alliance Caucus, which would be for one of the caucuses of the Chicago Teachers Union. So you're challenging the leadership.
Absolutely.
And we do have Mr. Turner on the phone. Can we put him
Sure.
through? Well, hello, State Representative Turner. Happy April Fool's Day. Did you fool us today?
That wasn't the intent, but I had a mother and a wife that told me I wasn't going to fool them. So we're actually headed for a short trip that they both claim I promised. And that's what we're doing at this point, just taking a minute to enjoy the Easter holiday.
Well, after your ordeal, I would say that, a vacation would be warranted. How do you feel about that, about what happened?
Well, there's no way I can tell you I feel good. I mean, I'm disappointed, but more importantly, I respect the process. And I think that the State Central Committee did not take into consideration the people, that 182,000 people that voted for me and what their wishes were. And actually, I'm certain their number was much greater. Mm-hmm. But, we live with the consequences. That's the nature of politics. It's hardball. The Democratic Party traditionally has been a party of ideas. And quite frankly, I think that there's some cloud hanging over their head in terms of being idealistic and trying to be real as to who the new Democratic Party is. But,
do you think they might have felt that Ms. Simon could carry the downstate voters as opposed to yourself?
Well, I proved that I can get votes throughout the entire state. I think the assumption was that the only votes I received was from the African American community, and the truth of the matter is I lost every African American ward except the ward I live in, and yet I won Cook County.
Okay.
I collected votes from around the entire state. In fact, the downstate Democratic Caucus held a press conference for me Thursday before this last election, this last vote. Mm-hmm. And they pretty much to the person all said that they supported our Turner. So I'm not saying that she probably can't help, but this idea that I could not get the downstate vote is just not true. And, I think that the voters should, in fact, ask their State Central Committee person, man and female, what their rationale was. I mean, I have a 30-year track record. I'm the person who if something had happened to the governor, I think that I'm the most qualified to step up and be able to run state government.
Well, Mike and I had a question. We're both with the school system, and we're depending on you all to bring us some more funds because we're facing, a $700 million deficit, maybe $1 billion, depending on who you listen to. What do you think you can do to help us?
Well, I mean, I went on record as the governor in terms of supporting an income tax increase. I mean, that's the only place state gets its money is that we either get it through an income tax or through other fees. And so unlike in Washington, we don't have that printing machine. And I'm not so certain if, in fact, an income tax is going to happen in the next 2 months, which is how much time we have before we pass this upcoming budget. I think that what we're going to do is probably give the governor a 6-month budget, and then hopefully in January, when the new group takes over, they will have the courage to vote for a tax increase.
But there's also a lot of other negative legislation that they're doing for Chicago. I mean, things that I was reading about making it so that Chicago teachers, if they chose to strike, I'm not sure a work stoppage is the best thing, but trying to do it the same way as they do the policemen and the firemen, that you can't strike, you just have to negotiate. Are you for something like that?